Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks again for joining us for another Principal Spotlight. I am here at Indian Trail Junior High School with my very special guest. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Jamrose. I'm the principal here at Indian Trail Junior High School.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. So let's hop right in. Let me ask you a little bit about your background in education.
My background in education. I'll tell you, the reason I wanted to go into education is I had somebody that was impactful in my life when I was an 11 and 12-year-old kid.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people all the time, the hardest age group, in my opinion, is being 11 to 12, 13. That whole age group, that whole age experience is difficult for kids because there's just so much that changes and occurs and is developmental. Kids discover new friendships. They discover new tribulations that they haven't experienced before. And so they need adult support more than ever. And it wasn't because I enjoyed a particular subject or anything like that. I wanted to have an impact on kids, like so many special adults impacted my life, and that's why I wanted to make a difference. I ended up going into music, and I became a music teacher.
Yeah.
And the only reason I became a music teacher was because I knew that I could teach kids for a couple of years in a row, and I'd have that chance to really establish those really great relationships with them and parents, and kind of see them grow, mature, and develop into like really great people. And so when I was teaching kids, I would always say to them, it doesn't matter really what you learn in the class as long as you develop into a good person. I think that's what really matters in the long term. So I taught middle school kids for a little bit. There was one year, the year of the recession, the housing crisis. I would, like most teachers that year, I was riffed, and so I had to find employment, and the only place I could find employment was in Wisconsin.
Gotcha.
So I taught Wisconsin 1 year, and it was at a district in the suburbs of Milwaukee. It was called Waukesha, and I taught middle school, high school, and then I taught for a virtual online school that serviced kids that lived in the rural parts of the state and Minnesota, because they had a reciprocal relationship where the kids could learn, and it was like a credit recovery class, but it was also an opportunity for kids to take a class that they might not have because of where they live. It might be an access thing.
Gotcha.
So
very cool.
After that, I taught high school, mostly high school in the southwest suburbs, and then I came to Addison.
That's great. Well, thank you for sharing. And you know what? I know that you, just based on what you said, you have a wealth of experience kind of across the board. And I know that we have a lot of families that are just coming into the junior high from elementary school. We've got some families that are just having their kids leave the junior high to go to high school. So it's great to know that their principal is somebody that can kind of help them through all of those stages of progression.
Yeah, it's not. It's nice talking to 8th grade kids, especially in December or January, around that time. They change so much, and so it's how kids act and behave, even as beginning of September. By the time they get to be January, they basically are freshmen, and so when you talk to them about what they're excited for and what they're nervous about, it's easy to connect with them in that way and say, I understand, but 3 years ago you were nervous about coming here, and you survived. You did okay.
Right.
Anytime a kid transitions from one place to another, it's hard. It's hard because it's just new, and things that are new can sometimes be scary for people. But I think once you get into the habit of it and you do routines, it becomes comfortable and familiar.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing. So let me ask you. You kind of answered this a little bit, but what really kind of we talked a little bit about what brought you here to Addison. Now, let's talk about what keeps you here. So what are some of the things about Addison that you found in your time here to be really kind of special?
Yes. So disclaimer, this is the smallest school district I've ever worked for.
Gotcha.
So most of the school districts I worked for had definitely more than one middle school, 4 high schools and some, and what struck me coming here was the family element. And everybody, in my old district, if I walked around, I would see the principal maybe once every couple of months, and that's just kind of how it is at a 4,000 people school.
Right.
The district office people know everybody's name. I feel a connection to staff here, and it does feel like a very welcoming and warm family from the staff side of things. I could probably talk about this for hours and explain the rationale behind it. But I was drawn here in particular to service the kids in need. That's honestly, that's why I left education, was to try to impact and have a positive influence on disadvantaged children. That's kind of what got me into administration. I actually never planned on being a principal. I was kind of, I was pushed into it, and then my sister-in-law said, "Hey, you should do this program with me," and I agreed. So her and I did the program together. I got my second master's degree through the program, and as I was doing it and learning, it clicked in me that this is something that I could do, because I'm not the type of person that what I thought a principal should be is somebody that's kind of like how do I say this, like a cruise ship captain.
Gotcha.
And I don't like being the center of attention. So what brings me to stay is not only the family element, but I want to make a difference for kids and empower them to empower their own lives, essentially. I want people to be successful and have their dreams and have the tools and anything that they need to be able to accomplish those dreams.
Well, you know what, and I love that you said that, because just going back off to the kind of the cruise ship captain analogy, it's like you're giving the kids the opportunity to be their own captain of their own ship, and kind of like giving them the tools to do that, as opposed to having that principal role or that traditional, like, I don't know if traditional is even the right word.
I know, and I connect with that because there's I'm gonna get very bear with me. I'm gonna get very highbrow here, but like there's this concept of like, what is a curriculum? And so like when you ask somebody what is a curriculum, a lot of people say, well, it's this book or it's this program, and on Tuesday, third week of school, we're going to be here. But a curriculum is more of like the experiences that kids have in a building. And so I think about a lot when a kid comes through Indian Trail, when you decide to present an experience to a kid, you place a value behind it and say, this is important. But when you also choose this and you don't choose this, this is also a value. And so you're indirectly saying this might not be as important. And so I think a lot about like, is it my place to if I say this is important, but this is important to some people too. And so kids need to understand that. And I think when you step back and look at the curriculum and the experiences that kids have in a school, it's really important that you do present options and be objective with kids and say, here are some things that you can learn about. What do you think? And you construct your own meaning and understanding based on the experiences that you have in school. And so our job as educators is to provide as many rich experiences as possible for kids, because I can tell you when I was in school, the device you're using right here didn't exist.
Right.
It came out in college, because when I was in college, because I wanted one, but I had a Verizon phone, so, and it was only on AT&T at the time.
Right.
There's just so much that we don't know about the world yet, and it's going to be so different 5 years from now. Even in the past 2 years, there's the ingenuity of people and the creativity have transformed how we consume information, even for kids. And
Absolutely.
So you want a kid to have the ability and the adaptability to be able to do anything that they want.
Well, thank you. I love that answer. That's amazing. And then that's exactly the kind of answer that I think our community would really appreciate.
I hope so.
Thank you for that. So now let's switch gears a little
Yes.
bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Anything you'd like to share?
Sure. About myself or about my family?
Or yourself, your family, whatever you'd like.
Oh, sure. I'm born and raised in Illinois. I'm actually from Naperville.
Gotcha.
I now live in Darien. I have a wife who is also a teacher. She teaches kindergarten.
Oh, excellent.
I have found that I'm one of the few people in the district level or building level admin that actually have a spouse that's in education.
Oh, gotcha.
To me, that was it. When I started doing this, I just kind of thought that would be the norm, and it's not. So
Interesting.
It's nice having somebody that keeps me in check, per se. And I go to her and I say, I want to do this. And she looks at me and she goes like, you can't do that. You're an idiot. And I appreciate her very much, because I probably couldn't be successful without her.
That's amazing.
She's a fantastic person. And so I have a 5-year-old son who's going to be starting kindergarten next week. And that's
exciting.
That's very very exciting. We had there was an event last week with his new school that he was at, and I had that moment of like, wow, you're doing this thing now, and
it's kind of jarring, I imagine, right?
It is, yeah. It is. So, but more about me. I like, again, I don't like talking about myself.
It's okay.
It's okay. I'm somebody that likes to cook. I spend a lot of time cooking. I like traveling.
Yeah.
Honestly, I read a lot. I read research and education. It's all nonfiction stuff. So
I get you. Excellent.
Yeah, that's kind of a little bit about me.
Perfect. That's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
So now let's hop back to the school portion.
Yes.
Specifically Indian Trail Junior High School. What is it about this building, about this place, that makes it so special to you?
It certainly is unique because of our size. We're by far the biggest middle school in DuPage County. And so with that, there's challenges, but there's also opportunities.
Right.
And I think one of the great things about our school is there are so many opportunities for kids. We have so many different clubs that we offer. We have a variety of athletic options for kids to get involved in at the school. Something that I'm always talking about with teachers, with parents, with the staff out here is what can we do to have something to kind of offer more for kids, right? How can we get kids connected to the school? A lot of kids, research suggests that kids experience success, especially from ages 11 up through 18 when they have a connection with a place. And so our job is to help the kids feel connected to the school in some way or another. And I think down the road with some of the new things that we're doing here at the building, I think we have a tremendous opportunity to provide that for the kids. I see Indian Trail as a unique aspect in that regard. It's also unique, basically, people don't think about this, but like we're in a very interesting part of the town,
right,
the city, because you have I can see Jewel out the window as we're talking right now. We have the library that's right over there, and it can be a cornerstone of the community. And I think about some of the changes that are going to be coming to the round building and that new digital media lab.
That looks amazing.
It does. And if you haven't watched it, or maybe, am I giving something away?
Oh, no.
So, so we might have done a tour of the new spaces to share with everybody so people can see what new exciting things are going to be occurring down there. But I see that as a central hub for the community, and say, let's say we're going to teach people English class, and if you have a desire to learn how to speak English, maybe that space opens up in the afternoon for the community. Or maybe you need help learning some programming that's run through some community outlet. Like, what a perfect opportunity for that space to exist for that.
Truly.
Yeah.
And I know just through our walkthrough today, we kind of mentioned that a little bit. There are some different activities and community events that happen here. For example, I know the foundation, for example, does their fun fair holds that in the commons. So now with all these new spaces, it's going to be so interesting for the kids to explore. And
it's speaking of the new spaces we have, because we have new rooms and we have new access to materials, that also creates more opportunities for the clubs and the after school supports that we can provide for our kids.
That sounds incredible. This is another thing to be really excited about.
It is pretty breathtaking to walk through there and see what it looks like.
We can't wait to show you. Now, staying in that same vein here of things to be excited about.
Yes.
Now, if you'd like, take the opportunity to kind of talk to our new and returning families. Anything that you think they should know about for the next year, maybe any advice you have, or things for them to look forward to.
Yes. So I'm gonna let me talk to our 6th grade families first, because your child is probably nervous. That is so normal, and they're going to be in good company. A lot of kids get very nervous about coming to the middle school because it's different. You have a schedule to memorize, and you have a little locker combination to memorize. But kids are very resilient. If there's anything that we learned in the past few years, right, the kids are super resilient. And so we spend a lot of time teaching kids how to navigate the building, open their lockers, how to choose their options for lunch, which is actually going to be new for all 3 grades, because for the past few years it's been because of the federal lunch program, it's here's your lunch. And prior to COVID, you could choose. You had choice, and so
Right.
a lot of kids, that blows their minds when they come here to the building and say, "You mean I can have that instead of that?" Of course you can. That's an option for you.
Very
So
nice.
that's what I would say to sixth grade families, and just it's okay for them to ask help during the passing period. There are adults out of the classrooms, and there's probably an adult within like 5 to 10 feet of every doorway. So there's a lot of people out there, and I help kids in particular open lockers probably through October. That's how long it takes for them to get it up here and remember everything.
Good to know.
Yeah, but big picture stuff. Obviously, the low hanging fruit is going to be our innovation center and the remodel that's taking place right now as as we speak. That is scheduled to be completed in December, and I'm really excited because we're going to have a grand unveiling of that space for the community in January. I don't know what that's going to look like yet, and if you have some ideas, please contact me. Let me know. My email is probably the best way to get in touch with me. I'm still working on the Twitter thing. I just need to do it.
Perfect.
Something else that I really want to see happen here too is, and this is going to sound silly, but it's so important, is as a school, we don't have a vision or mission statement.
Yeah.
And you think to yourself, like, why does that matter? It's important because when you think about this place being the cornerstone of a community, you want this place to emulate and project the values of the community, right? And so if you think about a values-driven organization and say, we believe in this and we are going to offer this, everything should align to that. So our programming, what we offer, how we teach kids, all of those things have values associated with them. And we want to make sure that we incorporate all of our stakeholders, parents, our custodial staff, teachers, kids. If you have a vested interest in this school, your voice matters. It does, because this is Addison. It's Addison. All the kids come here. All the kids from here go to Addison Trail High School, and that's going to be work that's going to be led by our building leadership team this year. It's through the school improvement process. I'm going to be trying to set up periodically throughout the year it's like a coffee with the principal type thing, but I'm going to open up the building to the community so that I can have conversations with people and I can listen
cool.
and see, like, what is your vision of this place? Like, what should we be for our kids? Because ultimately, no matter where you're from, what your background, your age, all of that stuff, kids come first all the time, and I think it's our duty to make sure that this place is what's best for kids.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing all these really insightful and thoughtful answers.
You're welcome.
And I know that I know that I'm getting excited about the new building and all the new renovations. I can't imagine what it's going to be like for all our students and families when they come in.
It'll be, it'll be eye-opening, especially if you're an 8th grade student, right? It's going to be way different than what you're used to.
Well, thank you so much
Thank
for joining
you,
us today.
I appreciate you having me on.
Of course. And stay tuned for the next one.